Shalom.
Shalom.
This is
all praises to Awake, O Israel Ministries.
This
and
is
also,
the most. This is another blessing day that we hopefully we had a little malfunction on the Sabbath.
Yep, but we're back.
But the devil is a lie.
Yeah, he sure is.
Not only spiritually, but his children, the seed of the devil, are liars. So we're aware of his ways of trying to derail the truth.
Especially, just going to say that when the truth is evil spoken of. Josh has a message on our program, on our page. Man, find it. It's awesome. When the truth is evil spoken of, we're almost like finding ourselves to apologize sometimes for the truth.
So
not really apologize. You know what I'm saying, Josh. Expound on that. You know what I mean, Josh.
We're going to edify some things tonight. I want to share something here through YouTube. I want to share, and of course we're going to edify through the Bible, and I'm going to stop the video in between when I'm going to be exposing a false prophet as well. Now, I'm not showing this video because I endorse or believe in the philosophy of the Nation of Islam, which is a black religious system, just like that is set up to spiritually control black people.
That's right.
So I'm not in no way showing this clip, this short clip, about 4 or 5 minute clip, because I endorse or believe in the message of Islam. But I'm showing this to you because I do agree that Islam teaches the mindset of the system. The person I'm going to be exposing is Farrakhan. And I'm not exposing Farrakhan for as much as I disagree with how his view on reality. I disagree on his spiritual religion.
That's right.
I don't disagree on the way he sees reality. So I'm going to share the screen here, and I'm going to break this down. Well, I'm going to stop it and edify it with scripture if I feel that he's going to say anything that's off.
That's contrary to true belief, true doctrine.
Absolutely.
Right, Josh? Mary, that order. Oh, you got it? Right here. Josh. Josh, put that over. Josh, put that over.
Oh, my dear brothers and sisters, whether you fully understand who you are.
So why don't you tell them who they are? If you understand, and since you do, why don't you tell them who they are and stop teaching this Islam nonsense to black people? So I just want to...
Why you are as you are. Why are black young people so feared that the enemy doesn't really care how young we are? When he meets us, he says he's terrified. And he shoots first and never stops to ask a question.
The reason that the system is still oppressing you, now, of course, Farrakhan will never come out and admit that the blacks are the children of Israel.
That's right. Come on.
So don't buy into this false sense of innocence of not knowing who you are. He knows the truth about why black people are suffering. It's just that the system that he's in religiously or spiritually will not allow him to speak the truth, the actual truth of reality.
Come on. That's right.
It's difficult for you to get inside of the white man's head to know why he's terrified of you.
Apparently he's inside his head because Islam was created by the Catholic Church.
That's right.
I bet he doesn't, I bet he don't tell you that. So whose head is inside of whose head?
Just listen to this false preacher.
You. But I'd like to share with you.
Again, the name of our lesson tonight is avoiding the philosophy of your enemy. Avoiding the philosophy of your enemy.
It's awesome.
Why he's frightened.
Now, again, I don't disagree that the Esau is afraid of his brother and his
Jacob. Right.
his brother coming to the knowledge of the truth. It's just, again, I'm not disagreeing with Farrakhan's statement. I'm disagreeing with his religious perspective, the way he's been programmed to see the world, through not so much through the reality that he sees it correctly, just the spiritual doctrine that he believes in.
Did you know that there wouldn't be a white person if we didn't exist?
And that's true. If Adam and Eve were not created by God in the beginning, who were black,
Who were Hebrew.
See, white people, if you don't understand the mentality of the systematic degrading and tearing down of a people through slavery and systematic racism, you can be their friend, but you can't understand their perspective on life. Even us as preachers of the truth, we don't fully understand it from experience. We have a spiritual side that gives us a higher sensibility of understanding, but we don't know the physical, mental thing that black people don't go through because, as you know, we're so-called Caucasian. So we don't really know it from experience, but we know it through the scripture. The scripture tells us that he would put a yoke of iron upon your neck until he has destroyed you. So he's not going to stop oppressing you because you complain. How is complaining? Black people in America is like a bad relationship where the man always beats up on the woman, and the woman makes excuses to her friends to stay with the man. Oh, they'll say, "Why are you with this man? He's always beating you." Well, you don't understand. We're in love, or I need him, or he protects me. So you need him, but he just blackened your face for no reason. Or you need him, but he doesn't show. He says he loves you, but in his actions denies his statement of his mouth. So you're in a bad relationship with the government that has always oppressed and always beaten you down. And this man, this again, now hold on.
Did you know that all the races came from us?
That's right. All the races came from black people.
Come on.
Did you know that you are the mother and the father of every human being that lives on this planet, that they all started from the black man and woman? They're not going to teach you this in school. And you probably didn't go far enough in school to study genetics. But I want to share this with you because you need to rap about this. There was a great white anthropologist. His name is S.B. Leakey, L-E-A-K-E. You can Google him, look him up. Leakey wanted to find the origin of man. He may have stopped in Europe, but he didn't stay there because life did not originate in Europe.
That's right.
And he's correct. As we stated, God created the world in what we would call Africa today. No one knows exactly the location of the original Garden of Eden, but God created the earth in Africa, what we call Africa today. That is why people refer to Africa as the motherland, because Africa or Israel was where the Garden of Eden was. So that is why, and that is why so-called black people will never be in their recognized as who they really are in this world, because this, like he said, education is geared to keep them in a inferior or in a segregated mindset where they can't ascend to any mental stability. So they will always be oppressed and underneath of their brother Esau.
I want to say something, Josh. You know, it's true.
Hold on.
You know where he ended up? In Africa. Looking at the bones of ancient people. Now, did you know there's a science that they could take your bone and say, oh, this is a black person, or this is a Native American, or this is an Asian, or this is a white person? Because your genetic structure is such that you have the strong...
And the genetic code, the genetics of so-called African Americans is called E1B1A, or the Y haploid group, which identifies him and everyone that looks like Farrakhan as a Hebrew Israelite. So again, he's not telling you the whole truth about what black people's DNA points to them being, since he knows that, but he's not going into the detail of what his DNA, because he realizes once he acknowledges this, he'll have to forsake Islam.
Wow, that's right, Josh.
Just the bones.
I want to say something. That's right.
They tried to make slaves of our native brothers and sisters, but it destroyed them. But the more they put on us, we survive. Think about the horror of the transatlantic slave trade.
See, and people are taught in this society to forget. Again, I disagree with Islam, but I do not disagree with his views on the reality of what black people have went through in America and wherever else they have been subjugated and colonialized by the European superstructure, right? I disagree with Islam, but I don't disagree with Farrakhan's view on the state of black people. But he needs to awake to the truth of that he is who he is, an Israelite from the tribe of Judah.
So what's more important, Josh, him losing his identity as Islam or telling the truth? That's where it comes to, right?
Well, he's not Muslim.
Oh, he's Islam, right?
No, he's a spiritual, he's like a Christian in Islam.
Oh, I see. Okay, I got you.
He's not. This is not an Arabic person. Islam is an Arabic religion that was actually created by the Pope.
I see.
When you do the research on Islam, Islam was created by the Pope.
Wow. To
Catholicize the Middle East. So, again, this man is a Hebrew Israelite. He is not an African, and he is definitely not an Arabic person. Why don't you let? Why don't you, Farrakhan? Why don't and the blacks who want to deal with Islam? Why don't you just let Ishmael deal with his own religion, and you deal with the Most High, the God of Israel?
That's right.
The one you're supposed to be dealing with, and stop misleading your people into a false religion.
Wow. So
you're no more different than a black
Christian,
or you're no more different than T.D. Jakes or Creflo Dollar, just a different spin of the wine of Babylon.
No, go ahead. That's good.
Being stuck in the holes.
Go.
Yeah. All right. I wanted to say something. I don't want to interrupt Josh. Josh is really hitting this nail on the head. Level, you'll always hear our people. I mean, the people we love, the Hebrews, wherever they are, if you're listening tonight, you're always talking about a level, but you won't ever get to that level who you are until you humble yourself and find out and search who you really are. Okay,
so
I just wanted to.
We're going to share some clips and we're going to read. I want to really focus. I'm going to show you try to show you through how you can simply research. And this is not just on YouTube. Go online, go to Wikipedia, or just type in history of Islam, and you'll find that Islam was really created by the Roman Catholic Church.
Yes, they were.
And Muhammad was a illiterate sheep herder.
That's right.
Who was a great orator, but he could not read or write. So basically, people followed him based on the fact that he was a good speaker. And that's a dangerous thing, just following someone who is a great orator.
Yeah. So
let me finish this, and I'll probably find a video for everybody. So a short video again.
Take your time.
If you all want to find this video and listen to it, it's called Louis Farrakhan: Why white men are terrified of black youth. So if you just want to, and again, I disagree with Islam, but he hits the points of the mindset of the white man, the empowered white man, the one with the power to set up white supremacy.
Edomites.
Of ships for months, laying in our own urine and defecation.
And this is why black people are taught to forget, because if you remember what happened to you, you'll reject the system that they give you, right? If they teach you to remember how they treated you and are still, then see, they want you to have what philosophers call cognizant dissonance. They want to disconnect you somehow from the past so they can somehow make you believe that the way they treat you now is different.
transform you into their mindset. That's
Right.
Charles, that's right.
So they want to create a distance from the history of the past so they can make you think they've changed, but they've never changed.
I want to say something real quick, and that's right, Josh. Everyone I meet, every one of the Atham members that are Hebrews, they have the same mindset. They're afraid.
Psalm 6. Go to Psalm 64, everybody.
Don't be afraid, brothers out there. Find out
Psalm
who you
64 and 4.
64:4. This is good tonight. It's really good, Josh.
And again, I'm going to edify what Farrakhan is saying with the Bible. Let's see what the Bible says.
Psalm 64.
What 64 and 4.
I got
Of course, we've read. I just want 4 and 5 and 6. I think
4 and 6.
4, 5, and 6. That Psalm 64, 4.
I got it. I'll wait for you.
So this is dealing with cognitive research, cognizant dissidence.
Wow, good word.
Cognizant dissidence. And you'll find again, cognizant dissidence is biblically prophesied that they would use that as a thought snare on the children of Israel so they can pull. And that's not just talking about their history of their race, their actual nationality, the way they use that to pull you out of the way and make you think the way they treat you now is different. No, it's not.
That's right. Okay,
Read.
Psalm 64 and 4. That they may shoot in secret at the perfect.
So they come together, and I'm going to show you some. I'll pull up a video in a second about Masonry. Research Freemasonry, everybody. We have to know how the world runs because these Masons are going to force this mark soon. The RFID chip is coming. So you have to be aware of what these people plan in secret and how they work. And I'm going to pull up some videos and share that with you. A video too tonight about the Freemasons too. And just get you some knowledge to you, and encourage you to keep going, keep digging, keep searching.
Awesome.
Right?
Yes.
Read.
That they may shoot in secret at the perfect. Suddenly do they shoot at him and fear not. They encourage themselves in an evil manner.
So these people keep encouraging themselves to oppress you. They're not going to change. Read.
They consume of laying snares privately. They say, who shall see them? They search out iniquities. They accomplish a diligent search, both the inward thought of every one of them, and the mind, the heart is deep.
Some of us, if we got a chance, jumped overboard into the open mouths of sharks rather than come to America to be made slaves. And what they took out of Africa was the strongest in Africa. And when we got through the Middle Passage, those that died in the Middle Passage and those that survived were the strongest.
Hold on, everybody. And I'm going to show.
He's saying something like there were Muslims that came in with this movie Roots, Josh. Is that what he's portraying?
He was talking about the Middle Passage.
No, I know, but see, they're hooked up with this Muslim movie Roots. He just said it. He contradicted himself. The American history is garbage and lies. Well, that's part of American history. They want you to believe that.
Hey.
And I want to share a short, again, hold on. I don't want to stay too long on this, but I want to show you the way even regular white people have been programmed to respond.
But white people like the Bible's Lazarus begging for crumbs that fall from their table when we can go and make a table of our own.
You'll be brief.
I am so sick and tired of this chip that you're carrying on your shoulder. We have.
So, again, these people have been programmed. So it's a chip when you point out the suffering that America has given you, spoon-fed you.
That's right.
So they call that a chip.
Wow. So
Bent over backwards, we've done backflips to make you feel equal.
You know, they've bent over backwards to find different ways to oppress them.
That's right.
And yet, we've done everything. A perfect example is in the federal government. If you and I get the exact same rating for a position, do you know what? You get it. And do you know why? Because you're black. Is that fair?
Nope. The reason that corporations hire black people is because the corporations are set up by the white racists that run them to hire volumes of blacks and Hispanics so they can essentially put them on a different form of a plantation.
That's right.
So
Wake up,
this white woman that just speaks has no way. She has no idea what she's saying.
She's sent by the enemy.
Fair? Is that fair to me?
You want to speak to that?
There is a woeful lack of understanding, not only in the black community, but really in the white community, of why black people are in the condition that would.
Again, why don't you tell them who they are, Farrakhan, if you're so worried about them suffering?
This is a shame. This is really a shame.
Again, this is how Satan comes. He comes with elements of truth or a lot of truth, but then he holds back.
Yeah, he sure does.
So I'm just going to play this for a little bit longer, and then I'm going to show you something else here, okay?
We're in, and why all of the efforts that whites have made and government has made to try to solve the problem in the way that government sees fit has not really worked. And blacks are still crying.
And I want to, when I just played it from slightly a little short from the beginning, he was making a point of black people Israelites have no progress trying to get crumbs from the table of the white man when they can just make their own table. Come together and make your own life.
There you go. Now that's okay, right?
Crying out for more and more and more. And I realize that this is an irritant to white people because you really don't understand.
And they don't understand, but do you really understand? Well,
I got you.
The point is, Farrakhan understands, but are you willing to just,
He's not coming right out.
Say, we're suffering because God prophesied through the prophets that the children of Israel will be enslaved by their brother, and that we will never get fair treatment from you, so there's no reason we should expect it.
And it's not really your fault. It's not really your fault. You just don't understand. But I think if you gave yourself a chance to hear what happened to these black people that makes them as they are, as an irritant to you and those who think you have done the best you could. And maybe you have, but I respectfully suggest to you that there's so much more that could be done, that should be done, and that must be done if America is to survive. Believe me.
Esquire magazine.
I know my history, to know my roots. So I grew up with a love.
Knowing your roots?
Like that word. They use
So,
that word, roots.
Again, now Farrakhan knows, because remember, he was with they were around with Malcolm. Malcolm knew who he was before he died. That's why the Nation of Islam killed him.
That's right.
So Farrakhan is doing the same same psychological trick that Christianity does. They present lots of elements of truth, and they hold back the actual answer to it. Again, I'm not for Islam or for what he teaches, but I agree with what he. I agree to the extent of that. The extent that he speaks out more vocally against the racism than the Christian pastor does, but at the same time, he's not going to renounce Islam and just admit that Islam is just like Christianity.
They'll kill him. Oh yeah, they'll kill him.
For myself and secure within myself.
So, and again, and now listen to what. Now let me.
Inferior, and certainly not feeling superior, but that chip on the shoulder, believe me.
Esquire magazine.
I know my history, to know my roots.
Now he knows that he's a Hebrew Israelite. Remember, he just said he knows his history, but because he's been brainwashed by Islam,
Come on,
he can't
speak it.
just detach from the fact of he knows he's an Israelite. Every single black Muslim leader knows that they are the children of Israel.
They lift up all the
because
prophets.
they actually read the Bible. They know that Christ and the children of Israel were black.
That's right.
And everyone.
They even praise the prophets of the Bible.
So I grew up with a love for myself.
So now listen, a love for himself. Now listen.
And secure within myself, never feeling inferior, and
he said he grew up with a love for himself and security within himself. So white people hate it when black men, especially black men, stand up with a certain sense of knowledge and point out the evil with authority, and they're not in a submissive or fearful state or trying to get a hug from the white people they tell the truth to.
Right, that's good.
So Farrakhan is not necessarily looking for the hug or the acceptance of the white audience that he's speaking to, because he's secure within himself of what he knows is the truth. So he's not trying to per se pacify or try to shy away from the facts of what he's saying, although he's holding back the element of truth that is most important, the knowledge of who the black and Hispanics are, the children of Israel.
Certainly not feeling superior, but that chip on the shoulder that the young lady spoke about is my self-assurance, my confidence.
And again, white people like Donahue, the guy who he's on the Donahue show, right? This is a clip from the Donahue show. Yeah. So these white these white people hate when black men stand up with confidence and power and speak truth to power for their people.
And look who's there, all women.
So it's not that people like us, and when I say people like us with the certain knowledge of how the system works, are lying or trying to spread racism. When black men refuse to operate in a submissive, fearful state of white people respond with fear, because they understand that that's not the way we trained you. We trained you to be submissive and acceptable.
And when they hear this man talk like this,
they programmed you to be submissive and acceptable of the way they treat you without an answer.
Wow. Wow. That's deep.
My ability to speak the truth without fear. I don't bend when I don't have to. I don't scratch where I don't itch. I look white people.
So in other words, he don't claw and beg for white people to love him. No, and we are not here to try to get you to love. We speak the truth according to the Bible. I don't care how this comes off, but if you're in Christianity, you're no more different than Islam.
That's right.
The same enemy that gave us Islam gave you Christianity. The Jewish slave owner gave you that religion to create a spiritual submissibility and acceptance of their government. And as long as you stay in that religion, you will never understand us, what we say. Because you think you have to beg for the crumbs from your enemy when you can just get your own table and break bread among your brethren and live amongst yourselves. You don't need your enemy you don't need Esau you don't need to beg the bread of the crumbs from Esau, because he'll never give you nothing. And why would he change his system when it's succeeded for him?
That's right.
Because you cry and you complain to him. Why not cry and complain to God and have him fight your battles for your God, Ahayah? Not Allah. Allah is the devil. Why not pray to Ahayah to take your cause, and he'll smite this place in a second? But and I got.
Hold on, I want to say something real quick. Isaiah says that Yashayah, Christ, Ishi, he's coming back with his sword drawn for all religions, against all religions.
Absolutely.
People in the eye and speak honestly. And
so when what Farrakhan is saying, when you have the sense of spiritual understanding, you're not afraid to look the devil in the eye and tell him about himself. Right? You're not afraid to look the enemy in his face and say you're a liar. So again, now listen.
Truthfully and candidly and unhypocritically to you. That's not a chip. That's just self-assurance that comes from self-knowledge. Teach your children that, and whether we are here or there, we'll be able to make a future for ourselves.
You constantly speak of injustice in the country. Look at the injustice that you're doing to these people. Let America.
So black people who speak the truth are speaking injustice, or not. In other words, what she's saying is, you have to be submissive and accepting of the way what we want to give you.
Wow.
Okay. Because Farrakhan, again, he didn't say nothing wrong. He spoke the truth.
That's right.
Black people don't need to beg crumbs from from the government when they can make their own government. They can make their own life. They can do everything for themselves.
That's right. Listen to this young.
America be the way it should be. What?
America should be the way it is because America is the way it is because America has never had it in their mindset to treat everyone equally. So again, see, when we say, again, when you understand, this woman is speaking out of emotion and ignorance. When you understand the truth, emotion and ignorance doesn't get you upset. It just points out that these people have no clue of the way their nation is just rigged.
That's true.
They have no idea of spiritual knowledge or foresight.
Yes, that's right, Josh. That's right.
Right?
And it's not their
foresight, right? When you have no foresight, you can't understand what's going on around, or know when you're how can I say this? But hold on. Now listen to the emotion and the the lack of knowledge these people respond to Farrakhan with. Again, I'm not for Islam, but I'm for knowledge of truth, or knowledge of truth to a degree.
What do you want to separate everyone for?
So when black people speak the truth, it's separated, it's racist. But when your forefathers brought them here as slaves, that wasn't racist. When they set up a system on slavery and gave you a white image of Jesus Christ or Yashayah, that wasn't racist. But when you speak the truth about how they treat you, that's racist. See, that's completely emotion and illogical. See, that's the way. That's why white people don't understand reality. White people like this woman have no understanding about reality. People that think like she thinks have no understanding of reality whatsoever.
That's right.
What is the purpose of that? That's not this country.
That's not this country.
So she believes America, ignorance speaks. She believes America was set up to give everyone equality.
First, Miss, you said, let America be what it should be. Should is the conditional. And the conditions now, ma'am, the conditions are that America is separate. You have 2 million Indians on reservations, Indian women.
Well, never point out their sin to them, because now that makes you like a racist.
Being sterilized. You have 30 million blacks unemployed, unemployable.
White and Jews and
look,
all different kinds of
Jews have organizations and leaders. Look,
and watch. Jewish people and other races have systems to protect their own people from racism. Black people don't. Native Americans don't. Mexicans, the native people, the Israelites have no protection or stability from the government. So don't let someone compare your condition to other people not being able to work. It's different. So again, ignorance speaks and gets claps.
Yeah.
Looking out for their concerns. Whites have organizations and leaders looking out for their concerns. As a black person, I reserve the right to look out for the concerns of my own people. And if we all look out for the concerns of our people and do justice by our people and by one another, then possibly America might be conditionally what you think it ought to be, but I really don't think you got that amount of time. Yes. Yes, and of opportunity. We can't deny that America has given everyone who has come opportunity. But to the blacks who built this, I suggest to you, miss, you are not qualified to speak for us. You are not qualified to speak.
Oh, that's another thing black people are. Never tell other races that they're qualified to speak for you. That's another thing that they've conditioned you. Since we rule over you, we have to speak for you. You don't have the right to speak for your own. So again, be submissive and acceptable of what we think. Never.
That's what you're hearing tonight. That's what you're hearing from these white people.
You're only qualified to represent yourself and your opinion. But really, those of us who have suffered this, we know what we're talking about.
That's right.
I just want to say that I'm so scared to go around the world next year because I was never a prejudiced person until I'm listening to you. It's really scary hearing what you're saying. I'm very scared. You're not preaching.
My dear young lady, when you go out into the world, you're going to find a reality that you're going to have to deal with. Please don't live in a fantasy world.
Exactly.
Come on, that's right.
And that's exactly what we say.
Mm-hmm.
White people like the ones, and I played this clip exactly. I'm sure, and I'm gonna put something else on to show you about Freemasonry in a second. But I want to share this to let you know, if you're out there speaking the truth as an Israelite, or if you're wherever you are, if you come to the truth to our ministry,
right. Nobody can tell you who you are, but you.
Don't let the emotions of people who have been programmed to be spiritually dumb dissuade you from your knowledge.
Come on, that's right.
And I'm not making fun of someone who's spiritually unknowing. When I say spiritually, you have been programmed. See, again, you don't understand the mindset
I don't have understanding
of how America has programmed black people to be slaves. That's not a chip. That's not an excuse. That is reality.
That's knowledge and understanding. That's right.
But let me keep playing this for a little bit.
Created by television.
Wait.
A very real work.
Created by television.
They want to talk. Look.
So the reality that black people, that America gives to people is TV.
Wow.
So they think black people are successful because they see it on television. So they give you that false reality. So when we point out the truth that black people are still oppressed and suffering, you can't understand that because you let the devil program you. You let the devil teach you a lie about reality. And that becomes your perception, which is never the truth. The devil will never tell you the truth about the way he runs his society.
Hold on. When we just left the pastor that we knew 7 years ago, and it's sad to say, and they're really, really, really far from the truth. But we're praying that Pastor Marshall will invite us sometime, and we can share truth with him.
Absolutely.
Because we love the brother. Go ahead, Josh.
I was raised to be white, black. I was raised to be equal to anyone. Listening to you.
Wait. Equal. America is not about equality. Emotion and ignorance is really amazing. It gives people the platform to think they have knowledge.
Yeah, and emotional. Right.
And see, emotional ignorance gives you the platform of actual thinking you're deep or you know something.
Princess, I just can't believe it. I am shocked. You're scaring me.
Scary.
Because you don't like reality.
Right. Tell him.
Mr. Falcon, I sit here and I'm seething. The things that you're saying only divides us.
Well, what is it that he said that makes you angry?
I don't like what you say about Jews or any other people. These things that you do, and when you look at us, you're not
talking about Jews. He's talking about an abasement of their religion.
Phil, excuse me. What you're doing is snickering. Just a moment. You have been sitting there for an hour and you've been snickering and sneering at us.
Yes.
We don't look at you that way. We're giving you the respect, the full hour to listen. You're not Martin Luther King.
So you're not a submissive house Negro that accepts what we give you, is what she's really saying.
That's right.
You refuse to be like Martin Luther King, and like I said,
we're in a mindset of people now.
And it's the devil speaks. I mean, this is the devil.
Lady says she's afraid.
They're afraid of reality.
Who brought us together? I could listen to him forever, but you're dividing us.
Dividing us. It's telling you the truth.
Well, since I have 1 minute, I really thank you for the privilege of speaking to you and with you. I would hope that we as black people would come together and form a united front to deal with the problems that confront us. And then I would hope that whites would actually begin to know more about whites, know nothing really about what it is like to live in the ghetto.
I would just like to say that I am terrified that even you, someone who's obviously educated, has given up hope completely. Like when you call upon us, you say white folk, you say black people, Jewish people. Why can't we come together? We obviously can come together. We just have to. We just have to find a way to do it.
No, sir, no man. Without truth and knowledge, you'll never come together.
The desire is good, but the reality is the total opposite of your desire. And unfortunately, as a young lady, you are not in the position of power to make the decisions to make America work. May I, you know, as an audience of intelligent people, I would like to just take a moment to say to you that I really don't think you fully understand what has happened to these people that you look at as second class or inferior citizens in this nation. Black people who were brought to this country were stripped of their names, language, culture, religion, God, and taken totally away from the...
Now, again, like we say, and again, for those of you who may understand, I'm showing you this clip to show you how people may even talk to you, respond when you share the truth with them. Farrakhan does not, now Farrakhan knows he's an Israelite. Now, if he was saying who he was, I would have no issue with his spiritual belief. But he does not, he's not coming out with the answer. The answer is get away from these religions and deal with your God, the Most High, the God of Israel. So he was right. They stole your race, your knowledge, your spirituality, your names, your culture. Now listen.
History of themselves. Here are 30 million people who don't wear their own names. They wear your names. Who don't speak their own language. They speak English, which is not their language. They never were allowed their own cultural expression of Africa. Don't you realize?
Well, no. Israel is North Africa, but they're not African.
That's right.
They're Israelites. So edify the lack of knowledge.
When you turn a people upside down and inside out, then sell them not for a day, not for a year, but for 300 years, and deny us the human right to know, to read a book, to learn, to understand. And then after 300 years of that, you allow us into the church. But by that time, you've painted Jesus white, God white, the angels white. And then all these black people have been subjected to a form of white supremacy, which produces in the reverse a black inferiority. And this is fulfilling what Jesus said, as a man thinketh, so is he. And as long as our people think the way they think, we will never be able to do what we as a people should do to correct our condition.
Over here, please.
Several people in the audience have said the things that he's saying, but you really haven't been specific. What is he saying that you have a problem with? And why is it when a black man stands up to speak for his people and other people stand up to speak for their people, there's no problem with it? But you're saying he said black, he said Jew. When people talk, they talk like that. Well, why is it when a black man stands up to speak for his people, you feel so threatened? Everybody's paranoid. And you talk about it's not segregation. We live in Harlem. We live in Watts. We live in Bedford-Stuyvesant. That's a form of segregation. We walk through Bensonhurst. We get killed. So what are you talking about?
The young lady said she's afraid of violence. And isn't it sad that we who have been the victims of so much violence, now whites fear violence from us? We do not have a history of killing white people. White people have a history of killing us. See? And what you fear, may I say this, sir? What you fear, and it's a deep guilt thing that white folks suffer. You are afraid that if we ever come to power, we will do to you and your fathers what you and your people have done to us. And I think you are judging us by the state of your own mind, and that is not necessarily the mind of black people.
And we'll be back in just a moment.
Wow.
Now I'm going to show you some stuff
Awesome,
about
man. That's
Freemasonry.
I hope you're getting blessed tonight. Who's ever listening, I'll tell you, you know, you got to catch a hold of your spirit. Take heed, brother, sister out there who's listening. You show me in the Bible the word equal, and I'll give you $1 million. But I ain't going to give you that $1 million because it's not there. It's in your constitution. Your constitution, which we don't agree on, and we never will. Well, like Josh said, we're not against Farrakhan because he's a Muslim or, you know, whatever he is, but we're pointing out what he's saying. He's not coming to. He has still not said that he's a Hebrew.
Freemasonry. We all know about it. We've all read about it. We've all heard about it. And today we're going to attempt, if we can, to unravel some of the mysteries of this most secret of all societies. We did promise you a few months ago, I said that we'd look at Freemasonry. Now, over the course of the last, I suppose, 10 or 12 years, this ministry has collected a lot of valuable documents from all different sources. We're going to come to some of them in a minute. But I'd like to start with a quote which came from the Catholic Directory of 1960.
Hold on.
So thank you. And, just stay tuned. We're not done.
Okay.
The Freemasons and such. Okay, leave it. Leave that, John. Let him read that. Make it bigger so I can see it. Make it bigger.
Now, I'm not going to play this whole video, but if you want it, the name of it is Illuminati.
The 3 degrees
Freemason
of the symbolic
exposed.
lodge.
The mystery.
Entered apprentice. Fellowcraft.
The mysterious times we live in explained. Part 1. So I'm not going to play this whole video because I want to share some scripture, but I'm just going to show you how this. And I'm going to share with you out of Psalms 83 how this all works into it. Now, this is about a 23-minute video. I might share about 10 or 15 minutes of this, and we'll.
I think we're going to do this more often.
Along with many other degrees throughout the appendant Masonic bodies, are inextricably connected to not only the process of building King Solomon's temple, but also the metaphorical implications of what that historical structure represents. Our ritual uses the building of King Solomon's temple allegorically to promote the building of character that is the focus of our teachings. The physical temple itself exemplified what can be accomplished by different people when they work together in harmony. But maybe more importantly, it continues to act as a symbol today of how we as individuals, following the plans of the grand architect of the universe, while using the right tools, diligence.
So he said, coming together under the grand architect of the universe. When a Mason uses that language, he's talking about the devil. So he's talking about coming together under Satan. So he's talking about a world religion who worships Satan.
You heard it.
And skill can build our own temples of character for a better future.
And it's sad to say the Christian church is getting a hold of this too, Josh.
A lot of things have been attributed to Sayyidina Sulaiman alayhi salam, which are untrue. One of which is magic. There are some of al-Yahud, the Jews, who attribute magic to Sayyidina Sulaiman. And the whole story of the temple also is attributed to Sayyidina Sulaiman alayhi salam. For example, the Jews or the people of the book, they associate Sulaiman alayhi salam with someone called Asmodeus. A-S.
Tell them that's not them, don't Josh. Tell them it's not them. See, they see these pictures. See this imagery, this lion imagery. Oh, you're finding something else, okay. No, at the end, Mary, Tony, he said something good for everyone. That was good. That was good.
Yeah, I didn't like it. The audience didn't like it.
They want the world to come together in unity, in false religion, in false belief.
Okay.
They want you to forget what happened. Why should we?
The name of this is Freemason and Occult Rituals. Now, this is the dollar bill, right? Again, as we've showed you, and I just clicked on, I didn't know this was in this. This is the dollar bill. And if you connect, and if you okay, if you look at the lettering here, hold on.
I mean, he finally said something, Farrakhan, that was pretty, close to understanding. It was good. But Josh,
now, I want to show you how they put stuff right in. Now, as we explained, this is the uncapped pyramid of Satan. That's Satan's eye, the all-seeing eye, the grand architect of the universe. Now, if you look at Novus Ordo Sectorum and Annus Conniptus, that's New World Order, and Annus Conniptus is Latin for all is one. So all is one under Satan and the New World Order. But if you look at Novus Ordo Sectorum, you have Sectorum. It ends with an M. You connect it to an A. Then you will go across to an N, the S in at Conniptus, at the end of Conniptus. Then you go down to new or N. No, you go to MASON. And they put Mason right on the dollar bill.
wow.
In Novo Order Sectorum spells Mason. And if you draw it the right way, you connect everything. You go MASON, and you get the Baphomet, or the six-pointed star of Rimfram.
Okay, you have the doorway here.
Yeah.
Okay, then to the right, you have a hedge, and then you have an evergreen tree. If you follow that line straight back, courtyard's in there.
Now, this is the Skull and Bones Mason Crypt at Yale. This is where George Bush went to, and Jim Carrey, and a lot of your government, John Kerry went to. This is and we're going to edify this with Psalms 83, but this is talking about the secret councils that these people are raised in, that rule over us.
So that's where they have the ceremonies. The outdoor part of it. Part of it was indoor. So we only got to see the outdoor part. Right. We only got to and listen to the outdoor part. God only knows what went on indoors.
And what did you hear? What was it you know? You managed to get this unique.
Oh, it was disgusting. It was gross. I mean, they were pretending to murder people.
What was the tone of it though? Was it jerky?
No, it wasn't jerky at all. It was terrible. It's not the only way I can describe it. It was sick.
What you're hearing is the first recording ever made of the Skull and Bones initiation ceremony. This has never been broadcast before.
Now, the way they initiate people into these satanic things is they'll often strip people naked, and they'll do stuff to they'll make you masturbate in front of a bunch of people, and they'll record you having sex with animals, and they usually make you lay in a coffin and do weird sexual things to yourself or with a person or an animal, and they'll record this. So if you ever try to expose them, they'll splay you out after you sign a contract with them.
There's the chants too, difficult to hear first of all, but including the devil equals death, death equals death.
Then members performing a mock killing.
What have Herbert Hoover, Art Linkletter, Jack London, and Richard Nixon all had in common? Well, they've all been members of the exclusive all-male Bohemian Club.
Now, listen, all-male club. Now, as we've talked about this, the Bohemian Grove is in California, and what they do is it's an all-male club where the highest profile members of society gather to, again, plot against their enemy, the children of Israel. In reality, they have all type of sex orgies, mock sacrifices, and if you actually just look up the video yourself,
cannot slay. He shall harm me once again.
now, if you look up images of the Bohemian Grove, you'll find that they're all assembled, and these are your presidents, your governors, your high religious leaders. They're all worshiping in front of a stone owl of Moloch, or Satan, the enlightened one. So, yes, and every president, every higher government, your judges, all assemble at these places, and some of them even have Masonic or occult altars in the White House. All of these government buildings have occult altars in them, so they can do rituals.
What is that? What is that?
That's a picture of someone recording the Bohemian Grove with these people worshiping and doing a sacrifice to Satan.
It is not all. We know thou waitest for us.
Bones, the secret society. It's so secret we can't talk about it. What does that mean for America? The conspiracy theorists are going to go, I'm sure they are. I don't know. I haven't seen the web.
So when they say conspiracy theory, the people that know what they actually do. So this man is a devil, like his father, and he's Jewish. Yes, these people have changed their names. All the presidents that have ruled America are what they call crypto-Jewish people who changed their names, or not really, like Thomas Jefferson,
and all the slave owners changed their
Samuel
name.
Adams, John Adams. Some of these people just are blatant with it, and other people are more crafty, like George W. Bush, who changed his name to so he would be accepted more readily by people who were unaware or maybe knew about the Jewish conspiracy to rule the earth. So this man is Jewish. He's the synagogue of Satan.
Number 322.
Tim Russert, the moderator of Meet the Press and NBC's Washington bureau chief, collapsed and died early this afternoon while at work at the NBC News Bureau in Washington.
Collapsed.
Now these guys who are manipulating my mind and programming me for mind control purposes claim, and these criminals in control of our country as well, claim to be gods, demons, and aliens.
Now, watch what they say. These people that are on TV and these government, if you look up, research, pull up videos about it on YouTube or find articles about it on line. It's called MK Ultra or mind control. What these people do is when they go into these satanic or these TV and all these different things, they are brainwashed and hold on.
In order that I feel totally helpless. In order that I felt like they were beyond my realm to affect.
Okay, what we're thinking of as aliens are they're extra dimensional beings that an earlier precursor of the space program made contact with. They are not what they claim to be. But they're not doing anything. They are not. They want the major population centers wiped out.
So hold on, and we're gonna read Psalms 83:2, and I just want to pull up something, another short video, and share it with you. Devil is on the move, and we see what he does. I just want to share this. Hold on. I want to show you how crafty these people are with the children, so-called cartoons. Now, this is Masonic. This mountain, Paramount, right, is owned by Jewish people. Okay? This is Mount Hermon. And the stars around it are the angels of the fallen watchers.
The fallen watchers.
We are Human, filled with college pep, bring him on the cry. B-I-M-B-O, Bimbo.
Now, this is most likely a Disney cartoon, and now, what they're showing you is this is how Masonry works. They usually find people young, like this would be a child, this little character here, and these people have already been inducted into Freemasonry or Satanism. So, see, and we don't really understand what, even in cartoons, what certain cartoons actually show, and how they display how people are being introduced to the Satan.
Remember?
No. There's the way out.
So, did you see what happened? Initially, the person that saw them rejected the offer, but since the individual here seen what was happening, they can't let you go back out into society because you'll say something. So when they closed the door, stopping them from leaving the house, and that's where a lot of these people come together. The original Mason halls in America were set up in bars, they were social clubs that evolved into Mason halls, where Bush, Washington, and Jefferson, and all these devils would assemble and plan their evil.
Wanna be a member? Wanna be a member?
No.
So what is this display? This is displaying, once you see what they do, they'll start screwing with your life around you to make you one of them. If you're a family member of a Mason and you walk in on one of them, they're going to make you join them, or they'll threaten to kill you or to screw with your life. Which is what this is displaying. Okay, so once you've seen them, and if you reject, or this is what they also do to members that try to go, this individual here has been dropped into a room with a rope and with a death machine hanging over them. So they ask you willingly first once you've seen them, but if you keep rejecting them, then they'll threaten your life with death.
Oh, yes, come on.
And they put this in cartoons with children, so they show you how society works on a high level as a child, because children's minds and a lot of adults' minds aren't geared to really spiritually to see what this is. They think this is just a TV show or a cartoon for kids. Yeah. But let's see what happens to this character. So the character here is trying to blow this flame out to save its life. Remember, this individual walked in on a Freemason or a secret occult society, and the individuals asked this person to join twice. They were nice the first time, but the last two times, their tactics have become more violent and relentless. Now they're literally threatening this individual with death if they don't follow.
So make it a joke, like it's a joke.
Want to be a member? No. Oh. Hello, May. I've got a bone to pick with you.
Hold on. Psalms
83:4, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to close out with scripture. Okay, everybody?
Yeah.
Psalms 83.
That was good. Oh, that's what it says. That's cool. No, that's good. Psalms 83:4. Psalms 83:4. They have said, "Come more from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more
So
in
what,
remembrance."
again, what these Masons do is they induct people as youth, as young, and they brainwash them to become a part of their secret assembly. And as they get further up in the levels or the degrees, people don't really understand. Unless you've been involved in, or you're a family, your people in your family are involved with this type of thing, that we get certain terms like getting your degree,
right?
Like when you go to college, that's Masonic for Masonic lingo, because that's where that came from. The Masonic people, Masons getting higher and higher degrees, and with that higher and higher degree comes higher and higher knowledge. So, like we say, when you deal like with these Christianity, when you deal with organizations like TBN and Daystar and the Word Network and all these different networks, they are set up by Jewish people, and everyone on them is a warlock or a witch.
Wow.
That goes for T.D. Jakes, Creflo Dollar, Jesse Duplantis, Paula White, all these different women ministers are war witches. They have to perform certain higher and higher rituals to maintain their cash flow when they're off camera. So, excuse me.
Verse 5.
Right, read.
For they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee. The tabernacles of Edom and the Ishmaelites.
Stop. So again, that's why I showed you Farrakhan. Farrakhan is part of the Ishmaelite control center and the control center. So, I mean, when you do your research, the history of Islam and the Quran and the history of all these things, history matters, because without proper knowledge of what came before, you are doomed to fall into progressive cycles of repeating the same action.
Wow.
Some people say and expecting a different result. No, when you do something over and over again, you're always going to get the same result. So Christianity is not the answer. Christianity was never set up by the Pope or by the Protestants that supposedly separated from the Catholic, the mother of harlots, to be an answer. That was just a diversionary tactic. Don't forget, Calvin and Luther were priests. And how much of Catholicism did they really renounce? Because they kept essentially every single ritual that they do. And that's why you see a lot of children being molested by pastors now. If you pay attention to news, or you're on YouTube or anything like that a lot, you'll hear about Christian pastors molesting or having relations with women or molesting children. Why? Because in Masonry, which they deal with behind closed doors, they sleep with men, they sleep with other Masons' wives, they sleep with animals. So these pastors that, especially on TV, you have no idea of the wickedness that they deal with to maintain that power center, that power they have over people. Because it's like this. And I'll use let's close with John 8:32. The truth shall make you free.
John 8 what, Josh?
John 8:32.
8:32.
Now, of course, knowing this stuff will not save you in the sense of knowing how the Mason, but you have to understand how they rig religion to mimic their lodges.
That's right.
That's why churches are set up like they are. They're set up exactly like Masonic temples. That's because right. That's who set them up, Masons.
Okay, the true word of John, Brother John, 8:32.
Read.
We have it?
Uh-huh.
And you shall know the truth. You got it?
John 8:32.
And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free.
Right. So
that's it.
Hold on.
That was really good tonight. That was good.
John 8:44. Ye are of your father the devil. So again, as I shared with Bush and all these other people, the reason America is never going to work is because Satan is the ruler of this nation, and he rules through the synagogue of Satan, who rules for him.
That's right.
And Christ said to the religious leaders who were Esau at that time, ye are of your father the devil. And the lust of your father ye will do. He was a murderer from the beginning. That's why they have to do certain death rituals in the Mason and Illuminati to make sure they maintain their psychological control over people. Because the more blood they shed, the more power they gain over you.
They have to keep those ritual blood sacrifices.
So, John 9/11 was a gigantic bloodletting sacrifice because they need to shed blood to maintain
power.
Like I said, that's why these TV preachers are always caught up in some sex scandal, and just because some of them haven't been put on blast yet doesn't mean they have. Remember, some Masons keep a tighter hold on their flock. So T.D. Jakes, we don't know. I can guarantee you, he's molested children in his his church. He's probably have
all of them.
He's probably
now that so to speak the truth is out now about them. Now they're going to be real careful. But guess what? You'll know the truth. It'll set you free. We know already. Yeah.
So.
Touch him.
Emma.
Emma. It's all right.
So.
Okay.
Hopefully that's been.
That's good.
We
good.
Definitely learned some things today.
Sure did.
We hopefully that blessed everybody, and we say shalom until next time.
Shalom.
Yeah. See you Wednesday.